Thank you for joining us today to the Hybrid Workplace webinar. This is going to be an Aspire Cisco webinar, and I will kick it off to Selena of Aspire to get us started today.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Aspire Technology Partners and Cisco Hybrid Workplace webinar. We have a great session prepared for you today. A few housekeeping items before we begin. Everyone in attendance is muted so we can fully maximize the insights from the presentation. The webinar is being recorded. All attendees will receive a link to the recording in a follow-up email. And the recording is available to watch on our website, aspiretransforms.com. Please use the Q&A feature on the bottom right side of your screen for any questions you have. You can also choose your view by clicking on the top layout icon up above. So welcome, my name is Selena Newhouse. I am the Manager of Customer Success here at Aspire Technology Partners. Before we begin, allow us to introduce Aspire Technology Partners. Aspire is headquartered here in Eatontown, New Jersey, and we have local operations in Mount Laurel, as well as in White Plains and Albany, New York. We work with our customers for their business transformation by leveraging the power of digital to enhance and define their outcomes. We act as an extension of IT teams through our managed services and provide innovative solutions to help our customers. Aspire's core strengths are anchored on our dedicated team of experts, advanced technology solutions, and services that revolve around our core practices: enterprise networking, collaboration, cybersecurity, data center, cloud, mobility, and IoT, and of course, our managed service offering. According to today's discussion, according to a recently published report from Gartner on hybrid workplaces, 94% of organizations are now allowing more and more flexibility to work where and whenever you want, from home and in the office. The main challenge identified for most companies is supporting that workforce that is split between home and office. In this webinar, we are going to uncover ways to support a hybrid workplace by making that dream of well-functioning hybrid workplace a reality. We're then going to have an actual live demonstration on how the ideal hybrid workplace and promoting better productivity, operational efficiencies. So here's a list of our presenters, me right there on the left. We also have Jerry Jenna from Cisco, who is going to really talk about what hybrid workplace is for Cisco, what that looks like. And then we will move over to Craig Tranter, who will go into our live demonstration, which I know you will all find fascinating. So I kick it off to Jerry.
Thank you, Selena. And I wanted to, first of all, thank Aspire for inviting me here today and to be on site. And at Cisco, we know we make the best products. We know we have the right idea when it comes to the hybrid work environment, but unless you, the customer, has a wonderful experience, no matter what we bring to the market, you wouldn't be able to use it. And for that, Selena and her team are second to none, and she knows how I feel about that. When not only do you have the best products, but you'll be able to work with the best customer experience team that'll help you incorporate all of these services and these products in your environment easily without having to do disruption of your day-to-day. So for us, what is the hybrid work? I mean, what happened 2 years ago? 2 years ago, COVID hit, and suddenly we all had to go home. We had to rush home and try to continue work in the best way we could. And at that time, we did it as best as we could. You know, we always talked about it at the time, saying, you know, one day you'll be able to work from home and you'll be able to work from the office and go back and forth. We thought it would be 15, 20 years to get to that point. It happened overnight. And you know what? We adapted. We as Americans adapted, students adapted, workplace adapted. That was back then, but the CIOs out there had to make do with whatever tools they had available at the time. Now, it's 2 years later. I'll tell you, I was in my office for the first time in 24 months yesterday. And employees out there suddenly are saying, I want to be able to have a flexible work style. If I want to be home, I want to work from home. If I want to be in a school, I want to work in the classroom. If I want to be at my mom's house or at a family member's house or travel and continue to be productive, I want to be able to do that. Going forward, almost all meetings will have at least one person who's not there. I don't even like the word remote anymore. It just means somebody who's not physically where you are. Well, for the past 2 years, 100% of the meetings have been remote. Going forward, not everybody's going to be in that room, and folks have to be able to adapt. Your meetings have to be able to adapt to make sure everyone's included, that everyone feels part of that meeting, and that their opinions matter and that they can contribute. Not only that, but we want our technology to be smart. Not only in the office, but at home and wherever I'm traveling. I want to be able to use voice command. I want to be able to not touch things. I walked into this room today. I'm at a spot. I did not have to touch anything. I set up my laptop. It connected. It made me feel more comfortable. That is a big part of the hybrid work experience as well. Not only do I have the tools, but how do I make it comfortable? And how do I make it secure? So that's one of the big challenges of it, right? We all ran home 2 years ago. We wanted to make sure that security is built into it from the bottom up and not bolted on as an afterthought. No matter how cool the tools are, no matter how sexy they are, no matter how easy they are to use, if they're not secure, then you're doing the company a disservice. And we want to be able to not only support the hybrid work, but we want to make it empowering. We want everyone to feel comfortable doing it, and not that they're doing something out of the ordinary. And different people have different needs, right? If you're a frontline worker, you're going to be doing a lot of using your virtual tools, using mobile. Other folks, like a contact center agent, they'll be on their home devices, because now contact centers, you don't have to go to contact center office anymore. People are remote, and everything in between. And what happened 2 years ago? Like I said, everybody ran home. And Cisco is very aware of this. How do I bring in all of the investments that were made? Suddenly Zoom became a household name. Microsoft Teams started developing across. Webex continues to be the #1 product in the market. But how do we bring all of the investments that have been made 2 years ago and put it all together under one umbrella to be able to have everyone participate exclusively? So when we're talking about hybrid work, we're talking about home, office, anywhere in between. You're going to see demonstrations of our endpoints, and we'll be able to mix and match which endpoints and which tools and which services work with which people in the field. All right? And I'm looking forward to seeing that. And Katie, back to you, and I'll stop sharing at this point.
Great, thank you. And we just wanted to make a note that if there are any additional questions that you have during the presentation, please feel free to add them into the chat, and we will be sure to answer those at the end. But we will hand it over to Craig to walk us through the demo.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So I'm joining you from London. So welcome to my London demo area. You may see my name appearing as Clara on the screen. You can call me Clara if you like. But this is because I'm joining from a Desk Pro, which is one of our dedicated video endpoints that's registered to one of my demo users, Clara, in personal mode. You also see that I'm joined in from the video system behind me that I'm going to swap to later on. So the plan today is to walk you through very briefly on the Webex app, because that's how most of us have been collaborating from home, and then focus in on all the different endpoints for the different scenarios. If you guys are joining in on the Webex app or on a web browser and you're currently in grid view, please feel free to change your layouts. I want to be the center of attention on your screen. So if you go to the top right, you'll see a little layout icon, and I suggest putting it into static mode. That will mean you still get to see the other wonderful faces on video, but you'll see me as your large active speaker on the screen. That way you'll be able to see all the detail where I'm pointing my cameras and showing you all the cool stuff. For those of you that are joining and don't have your video on, that's fine. Maybe you just have a face that's fit for radio. We won't judge. But if we do see any of your wonderful faces, it'd always be nice, because then I know if people are paying attention, if it's interesting, or if people are falling asleep. So do feel free to get involved and turn your videos on if you like. The time is for you guys. So the plan is, quick look at Webex app, quick look at the desk series devices that I'm using now, and then I'll swap over to the larger system to see some of the more meeting room style devices. Sound good? Thumbs up from people. Feel free to get involved in the reactions as well. All good. All right, so I'm going to start off by sharing my screen. I am going to share in the standard way. So you'll see the content large on my screen, and you can see this is my Webex app. This is how we've been interacting when we're being at home. So you can see I'm actually in a demo space here. I've got some people chatting away with me. And Elliot over here has said bonjour. So what I did was say, actually, I want to use a bot within the Webex app to translate this for me today. And it went away and said, hey, comment vas-tu aujourd'hui? There we go. So we got some French in there. This is the great thing about the Webex platform, is it's an open platform. So we want to build in other integrations, right? So along with my messaging service, I've also got my meetings. This is actually linked to my Outlook calendar, so you can see my crazy calendar for this week. You guys are here. I have one more meeting after you guys, and then I am out of here for the day because it's been a long day. But I've also got links to my voicemail, my calling settings. If I'm not available in the app, you can see that I can actually get my single number reach. It will forward to my mobile, for example. Any other contacts, whether they're in Cisco or outside of Cisco. This is what I really love about this. This little icon down here tells me that there are people outside my organization, but I can still interact with them. I don't have to worry about, hey, am I in this right organization? Do I need to sign out and sign into a different profile? No, we can just interact in here. As you saw with my meetings tab there, my calendar was integrated. Believe it or not, Cisco are a Microsoft customer, right? We use Office 365. We just don't use Microsoft Teams because Webex is better. But hey, if you're using Microsoft Teams, no worries. We'll show you later how we can build in the Webex platform into the Microsoft Teams client and still join Microsoft Teams, Google, Zoom meetings from our video endpoints. Obviously, I'm biased. I do think the Webex app is the best possible experience, but we want to make the most of these tools as well. The great thing that I do is I actually link my chat spaces to folders within my OneDrive. So you can see this little OneDrive tag on everything that I do in here. So if I want to see my collaboration roadmap in my PowerPoint, it's right here in the chat space where I'm working on it. I haven't needed to leave my app and go and find SharePoint and log in and find the right folder and find the right file. It's right here. I can go in, I can make changes, and that's in the chat space where I'm working on this stuff. Along with any whiteboards that I've been doing. You can see my amazing artistic ability in here. Any links that have been shared, and if there's any recordings available from this chat space as well. But we want to be able to add whatever apps we need. So you can see a few that we add in by default, and you can also go in and add additional apps as well. So the message here is not, hey, you should be using Webex, it's, hey, you should be using Webex and integrate whatever other tools you're using in this platform as well, right? One of the key features on the meeting side of things is I can go ahead and schedule meetings, or I can join my meetings very, very easily. If I'm in a room with a Cisco video system, you can see I'm already paired to that device because the app is smart enough to say, hey, you've got a video device that's dedicated. Let's go ahead and use that rather than the front-facing camera in my Mac or my iPhone or whatever. But if I'm joining from home, we're going to actually use something like this, our dedicated little desk cam mini, and you can see me moving around here. So this is the view that I can see. And this is my little webcam that I can plug in Just to show you the difference in quality, let's actually change to my built-in FaceTime camera. So here, hello. You can see the difference in quality straight away, right? So we can always enhance the experience with our dedicated camera. You can see here that I've chosen my Desk Pro web camera, and it's saying, hey, you can't use this right now because I'm using that in this video system. So let's go ahead and choose the Desk Cam. There we go. And you can see this camera signing up for me. If I go ahead and start my meeting, this is me in my meeting. There's no one else in here, so it's just me going on. And there's a few cool things in here that I can use. There's reactions, right? Reactions are fine, but when I'm asking people to interact, I'm saying, hey, go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like that. And I might not be able to see this clearly, so I might end up doing this, right? Trying to find the right one. That's not a great look when I'm on a video call into a meeting room with like 70-inch screens. No one wants to see me doing that, right? So what we can do is enable gesture recognitions. In this way, I can give a thumbs up and it recognizes that and sends that across to the far end. So I can now interact in a much more natural way. One of the great tools is the raise hand function. Again, rather than me going like this and trying to find it, I can simply raise my hand. It recognizes that and it lets the host know that someone's got a question. That's baked into us from school, right? I still do it. I used to be a teacher, so that's baked into my behaviors. I always have to raise my hand. We've also got this Webex Assistant, which is fantastic. I'm going to turn on the assistant now.
Webex Assistant is enabled to save audio highlights.
And you can see that we can choose our spoken language and our caption language. So this is going to track everything that I say, record it in our notes and transcripts, and then summarize all the action points from a meeting. But this is also very handy. So if I wanted to say use Spanish, we have real-time translations in here now. So you can see that although I'm speaking in English, it translates into Spanish. This is fantastic. I actually used to be a language teacher. So this was something that I'm not going to lie, I was quite skeptical about this. I was very concerned that it wasn't going to be too accurate, but it's actually got some machine learning in here. So it recognizes when the context has changed and actually corrects that sentence structure. You can, of course, turn those off if you don't want them, but it's really nice to have that built in and to have it in our panels over at the side here. So you can see everything that's being captured by that Webex Assistant. You can also add additional apps. So we've talked about Slido briefly already. This is baked straight into the Webex platform now. So we can launch multiple choice, word clouds, open text, whatever we need to, or have a Q&A panel. You guys will have this Q&A available to you in the Webex app. So do go ahead and ask questions during this session if you want to. But I find this really, really useful. If I'm teaching, I don't want to have to manage multiple different screens. I just want to be able to manage the one screen that I'm looking at. So whether that's what content do I share? Do I want to show me in front of my presentation? Do I want to share files? Do I want to share whiteboards? Whether it's who asked a question, whether it's how do I react really naturally? Maybe I want to enable breakout rooms so that my students can have multiple different sessions. Now I realize that I'm focusing on the education examples here because of my background, but you guys can see how this could apply to many different situations, right? So this is just a quick look at the Webex app. I think it's great because it links into all my Microsoft tools that I'm using before. It also links in and allows me to share wirelessly and pair to devices and launch my call there. But the key is it has everything I need in there. So that's one quick look at the Webex app. We also saw the little Webex desk cam, how I could elevate the experience using a desk camera. We also have dedicated video systems, which I'll move on to next. But I'm going to pause and see if any questions have come up. Feel free to unmute, or if there's any questions in the Q&A, we'll see if anyone's got any notes before we carry on. Good. Okay, I'm going to keep going then. So I am using a Desk Pro. This means that I've got my laptop plugged in. It also means that it is charging my laptop, in addition to giving me the option to share content with you guys. Now, you already saw me share content one way. I'm actually going to share content a slightly different way now. I'm turning off my video and I'm placing myself in front of this content. So again, this is my laptop screen, and you can see I can move myself around the screen wherever I need to be, but this website is called projectworkplace.cisco.com. If you forget everything that I tell you today, remember this website, because this is where you can find out about all of our different devices. If you're clicking on devices, you can see the desk series, you can see the Webex desk camera, you can go through and see our room systems, you can see our boards, our phones, our touch panels, whatever it is. You can find out more information. I like to look at the workspaces tab, because you guys know your workspaces better than you know our systems. So is it a personal office? Is it huddle spaces? Is it co-creation areas? Is it meeting rooms? And you'll be able to go through all these different scenarios. For special purpose scenarios even, multiple content share, briefing rooms or classroom styles, auditorium style events. You can click into these and you can scroll through any of the details and it will give you different use cases. So in this particular room, we've actually got an additional screen over here. So my presenter or my teacher in this case, or my trainer, can actually see everyone physically in the room and can see everyone over video over this side, right? So this is really handy and it allows us to scroll through and see all these different scenarios so you can get a feel for which is the best device to use. I'm going to click into this one because this is essentially what I'm stood in front of right now. I've got my Mac plugged in and I'm stood in front of a Desk Pro. As you scroll through, you'll be able to see that I can use this as a second screen. I can use this as a whiteboarding tool. And of course, I can join video calls. All of this is baked in here really easily. So use this website to see some of the key features. But enough of sharing that content because I'm stood in front of the device, so I might as well show you some of the key features now. One of which is the intelligent camera. You've already seen it put me in front of my content. That's a much more engaging experience than me sharing a presentation, for example. If I stand up, you see that the camera actually raises up automatically as well. The cameras are smart. You know, if you're joining from home and someone's on their laptop using their integrated camera and they need to stand up and stretch, you get some very interesting angles if people don't tilt their laptop screen. Whereas this camera always focuses on me. And that's right down to the little Diddy webcam. So whichever one you're using, you've got the best view of the person talking to you. But believe it or not, video is not the most important thing. It's actually audio. If I'm talking to you and you guys can't see me, that's one thing. Right? That makes it a really terrible experience, the whole you're on mute situation. So the audio needs to be great. One of the common pain points with audio is background noise. Now we have background noise built into the Webex app and into every single device that I'm going to show you today. And the great news is that you still get that noise cancellation technology regardless of the meeting platform you're joining. I'm actually going to turn off my noise cancellation and I'm going to simulate some background noise by playing a video on here. Now this isn't just random noise, this is background office noise. So it's not just noise, but it's people talking. Not a great experience for you guys if you can hear all this background noise. So I'm going to turn on our noise reduction feature. And in just a few seconds, you should hear the difference here. You hear my voice nice and clearly over all of that background noise. And remember, it's not just background noise, it's background voices as well. So our technology goes one step further to know whose voice to focus on and whose to drown out. Now that's super loud for me still. So for me, I'm going to use the headphones that we have here. These are our Cisco 730 headphones. I love these because you pop these on. They are Bluetooth connectivity. They're noise reducing, but there's no boom mic like what we see in a lot of the contact center scenarios. So I'm quite happy to wear these walking down the street, listening to my music, right? They happen to be plugged into a dock that's also connected to my Desk Pro, and that charges my headphones as well. So quick show a thumbs up or thumbs down. How did the noise cancellation sound for you guys? Thumbs up if it was all good. Amazing. That's what we like. Okay, guys. I'm going to take just a few seconds to drop the call from here, and I'm going to move over to that system. In the time that I do that, I want you guys to have a think about if there's any questions, and then we'll see what's happening.
Yes, as Craig mentioned, please feel free to add any questions to the Q&A. We can take a look at them as he's going through the demo, and if we have time at the end, we can certainly address them.
Awesome. Okay, guys, so I'm joining you from our main system here. And just give me a nice quick thumbs up that I've become the large active speaker on your screen and you can all see and hear me nice and clearly. Beautiful, thank you so much. So I'm going to spin my cameras around and point them over this way. This is where I was joining you from before. So you can see my little headset dock here. You can see my laptop screen. If I swipe up and take it back to the home page, here is what the Desk Pro looks like for a home user. What I love about this is that this is Clara's Desk Pro, right? Clara is my demo user. This is registered in her personal mode and it's linked to her calendar. So she's actually got a couple of big green join buttons on here. One's for a Microsoft Teams meeting. One is for a Google meeting. Ideally, there'd be another one there for a Webex meeting or a Zoom meeting, or we don't care what. It should be easy for my user to join any meeting platform, right? You can see all the different options on here as well. So I could go in, I could say, hey, let's do some whiteboarding. And I'm going to show you my artistic talents now because we have some shape recognition built in. So it keeps my drawings nice and neat and tidy. And of course, I could scribble away like this. It is an infinite whiteboard, so I can pinch and zoom and move this around. And I can do that across Webex with other participants, and we can co-collaborate on these whiteboards wherever we are, whether it's on the Webex app, on a desk series device, or on a board device as well. So we're not limiting people to what device they're joining from, it's collaborate from anywhere. When I'm done, I can swipe up and you see my different activities down here. That's the idea. These should be flexible. I'm working on multiple different things. So if I need to head back to my PC screen, cool, I've got that covered. If I want to head back to my home screen, sure, I can do that. And it's just like how I would swap between apps on my phone, right? I bring up the bar and I move it along. Same way I close an application. I can just swipe up to close that app. Again, that's what I'm used to on my own device. So this should be simple. If they're not simple, they don't get used. Trust me, one of my roles when I was teaching was to encourage more use of technology in the classroom. The biggest barrier to that was the teachers. The kids pick it up straight away. But the teachers are like, no, 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 don't give me something new. I don't want to be embarrassed in front of the class. This stuff is built to mirror what they're already used to on their own personal devices. It's built to be flexible for any use cases that they need. Talking about flexible, here's another example. This one is called the Desk Mini. It's exactly the same user interface as the Desk or the Desk Pro. The Desk actually looks like this one, but it sits just in between. This one's a 27-inch screen. The Desk is a 24-inch screen, and this one's a 15.5-inch screen. But they all have the same operating system, the same way you interact with the screens. So if you're used to one, you're used to all of them. The difference with this one is this little handle here. It's nice and easy to pick up and carry around. So in my mind, this one's really focused for the home user. You can use it anywhere, but if you've not got a lot of desk space, you want to be able to pick this up and move it if you need to. The power brick that comes along with it is actually built right into this speaker. So you've literally just got a power cable that goes into the wall, and that's all you need to worry about. So that's a quick look at the desk series. I'm going to spin across to my Webex board. This is the Webex Board Pro. You can see how it woke up automatically as I walked up to it then. Here's a big green join button. That happens to be that same Microsoft Teams meeting that Clara had. I happen to have the same options of whiteboarding, and you can see my amazing artistic talents on here that I drew earlier. And if I swipe up, I can navigate between my different options. So again, if you're used to using one of the Desk Series devices, this works exactly the same way. That's kind of the key, right? It needs to be easy. We're going to see more on the Webex Board Pro in a bit, but just to show you the other options we have, I've got my Room Kit Mini. This one is designed for huddle spaces. You're looking at 2-3 people, and it comes with our Navigator touch panel. This is the same touch panel that you'll get on all of the room systems. You'll have the same options, the same configurations, the same way you use it. So if I'm used to using a small system like this, and I go for a slightly larger one, this one's called the Room Kit. This is designed for small to medium meeting rooms. You can see I have the same touch panel. We have the option to have digital signage on all of these devices across everywhere, whether they're at home or in the office or in the classroom. You can push out whatever signage you want. And when we wake up, you can see this one is also already booked for a meeting. This one happens to be a Google meeting. Big green join button on my touch panel. Again, it needs to be easy to join these. We have an additional touch panel here. This one is typically mounted on the wall outside of the room. This shows a red LED if the room is booked and a green LED if the room is available. Keeps it nice and simple. All of this is just tied in the back end to its own calendar for any of these devices. So you book the room, it books the calendar. You have some meeting details in there, it puts the big green join button on the system. Nice and simple. When we're in the meeting, you can control the cameras manually, and that's wonderful. Again, using the same touch panel, but I don't really want to worry about what the cameras are doing. So just like the desk series that will swap between that up and down motion for people sitting or standing, we'll have speaker track. And you can see the camera is activated and zoomed in on me automatically here. The cool thing with this is, wherever I am in the room, you'll see if I move over this side, the cameras take a couple of seconds, they're making sure I'm saying something important, and then it gives you a nice intelligent crop of where I am in the room. So you always know who you're talking to. I don't need to be anywhere near the touch panel. I don't need to worry about how do I work this system. The system does the hard work for me. So wherever I am, it builds this in. There is another camera mode as well, which I'm going to show you now, called Presenter Track. Particularly useful for trainers, teachers, because if you're like me, I don't tend to stand still when I'm teaching. So I'm going to go and move over this side, and you see how the camera's snapped in on me there automatically? This time, it's going to actually follow me wherever I go. So when I'm wandering around my classroom, even if I need to bend down and tie my shoe, the cameras pick me up and follow me. Again, I don't need an extra cameraman. I don't need to worry about how I work all of this. I can bring this in nice and simply. So that's a quick look at a couple of the camera features. Now, the cool thing is, in the background, I can show you how this is actually working. This is what the cameras actually see. So you'd never normally see this view in a meeting, right? In a video call, you're not going to need to worry about it. But as I move around the room, you can see these green squares around my face, right? That's a positive face detection. Now, I've actually opted in for face recognition, so I've got my name tag appearing down here as well. That's opt-in because of privacy, obviously. So wherever I am in the room, it's going to pick me up. Now let's say I move over this side of the room, still tracking me down. The microphones are listening to where my voice is coming from, and we get this new square that comes around me. That's the intelligent crop. So that's how the cameras are focusing in on the best view of me for you guys. As it's just me in the room, I'm going to bring in my good friend Leonardo DiCaprio to help me out. And you can see how his face gets picked up as well. And I now have this blue square, and it frames both of us intelligently, because we don't want anyone half on video, half off video. That's super awkward. Up in the top here, I also get a people count. This is really handy information. Not for me as an end user necessarily, but let's say that I'm trying to manage these systems, and I can see that Jerry always books his meeting room for 20 people, and only 2 people are ever turning up. Well, I might say, hey, Jerry, stop booking the big meeting room. What a waste, right? Or it might be that typically my meeting room's for 20 people, but in the interest of social distancing, I might want to reduce the capacity and alert my end users to say when there's too many people in the room. So we can do all of this stuff. Everything we do is managed in our control hub. The control hub is a really powerful tool. So I'm going to jump into this super quickly and give you guys a rundown. This is where we manage everything. Webex App, Webex Calling, Webex Meetings, all of our calendar services, whether that's Google or Office 365, Exchange, whatever it might be, and all my devices. You can see I've got a number of devices online with issues. Now, I don't care because I've caused most of these issues because they're all in my demo areas. So I've turned off and on various different features. But it's great that it tells me about this, and I can see that across my entire estate. I can troubleshoot and gain analytics on everything that we do. So I can see the number of meetings, the number of meeting minutes, how many video meetings, how many sharing, how many people are using the Webex Assistant, for example. So now it becomes a question of adoption. Yes, these systems are easy to use, but did people know that they could share wirelessly? Did they know about breakout sessions? Now I can advise them on training so that they get the most out of these features. And if we jump right down to the devices, let's find the one that I'm on right now. So I am on this system here, and this is my RoomKit Pro. You can see it had a navigator associated with it, and I've got my wireless pairing turned off right now. So it alerts me to that. I could enable digital signage, and it is free with your Webex licensing, so that's great. And I can also jump into the workspace to see the calendar that's associated with it, the real-time utilization metrics, so we can see there's one person in here. Let's bring in my friend Leo again to help me out while it's just me in here. So I'll simulate another person. Now I've set the capacity to just one person. So look what happens when there's too many people. It alerts me to that fact, right? So in the admin portal, but also on the end user device, it will put a little message up on the screen saying, hey, there's too many of you in this room. It also shows that I've got my Webex app paired with the device because we have that configuration enabled to pair our apps with our devices. In addition to all that, extra sensors built into our navigators. So not just using the microphones and the cameras, but also these additional sensors tell us more about temperature, humidity, air quality. This is particularly useful in healthcare environments, for example, but also more so now with everything with the pandemic. And in general, it's quite handy to see over time, how are these rooms being used? Are we consistently exceeding that set capacity? With those environmental metrics, if classroom A or meeting room B is not booked until 3 p.m. and I can see that there's actually no one in the office until 12, do I need all my lights and my heating and my air conditioning on? This doesn't cost anything extra. This is just using the intelligence in the technology so that we can now have a much wider scope of what we're managing, not just a fantastic meeting experience, but also wider facilities management, wider knowledge about troubleshooting, wider knowledge about training and adoption for our end users so they get the most out of these features. So that's a quick look at all of these different things. I'm going to pause because I've given you lots of information and everyone's very quiet and I feel like it's just me talking. So I'm still going to show you guys joining into different meetings. I'm still going to show you guys more about the Webex Board Pro in particular, because that's a super cool tool and it's the only one that we have in the UK right now. So I'm very keen to show that off. But I also want to hear from you guys. What questions have we got? What things are interesting? Are you all asleep? Are we still there? What's going on?
Hey, Craig, we had one question come through. We all have laptops with webcams already. Why do you think we need dedicated video devices?
Amazing question. So laptops have webcams built in, right? Those webcams are not great. Even on something as good as my MacBook Pro that's meant to be top of the line, you saw the difference in camera quality between that and our webcam. Now you could just use the webcam. And the cool thing is, even that little Diddy webcam, let me grab it over here. Even this little guy is actually managed in the control hub as well. So I can keep track of all my assets. You might have noticed the up-down motion with the cameras as well. Keeps the best view of the person, regardless of any of that. And it means that we get all of these analytics back into that control hub. Now, whilst laptops are great, they're not necessarily great at doing lots of things at once. So if I'm joining in to a Microsoft Teams meeting, for example, but I'm also trying to load my PowerPoint and share that content, that's really tricky for me to do on one screen. It also takes up a lot of my computer's processing power, and it means that the fans are going crazy, and I can't even hear people over the sound of my laptop sounding like it's taking off. So that's where the endpoints come in. They're going to do all that processing work. They're going to make sure that you get the best audio and the best video quality, cancel out all that background noise, and have a dedicated screen to see everyone nice and clearly. So that's how I like to play it. I'm lucky. I've got a Desk Pro at home, and that has been amazing during the pandemic where we've been working from home. I just have that all day, back-to-back calls, and it doesn't really tire me out because I've got a really good scenario there to use rather than just being hunched over my laptop all day.
Hey, Craig, since you're asking for questions, I have one for you.
Go for it.
You keep talking about processing and process power. How different is processing than processing?
Let's not get into this. We need to have the Webex assistant translate for Americans now. I see how
I don't see it written in Brooklyn talk right here on the bottom.
Let's not talk about schedule and all of this stuff. Talking about though, I do have a couple of different types of cameras here, right? I've got a quad camera, which is fine. We understand that. I also have a PTZ 4K camera. I'll translate for you, Jerry. That's a PTZ 4K camera.
All right.
The pan, tilt, zoom, right? And that's the one that I was using for this presenter tracking mode, where I can just wander over this way and it snaps in on me and it actually pans and tilts and zooms and follows me around the room. So PTZ from the UK, but PTZ for you guys. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at the Board Pro in a bit more detail. So right now we've got some digital signage on there, but as I walk up, it wakes up automatically. Again, I'm using the intelligence in the system to detect that there is someone in the room, and it wakes up and goes, hey, there's a meeting here. Do you want to join that? I've got the option to have all these different things on here so we can customize this. And I love this. I wish I had one of these when I was teaching because it means I can be so flexible in what I do. Now I could, if I'm a bit of a technophobe and I'm used to using my laptop, that's fine. I've got my laptop connected via the USB-C cable there. So I can have my laptop on here. The other cool thing is I've got touch redirect. That means that I can now control my laptop screen from the board screen. So I don't need to worry about running between my PowerPoint on my laptop to change slides and come up here. I can just go in here. Let's say I'm a Microsoft Teams user and I want to join the call. That's fine. But hey, it's going to use the camera, the speakers, the microphone, all of that cool stuff in the system. And all I had to do is plug it in. Now, the cool thing with this as well is that this cable plugged into just a standard laptop is pretty powerful. It's actually a 9-meter USB-C cable. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a weirdo. I don't normally get excited about cables because a cable's a cable, right? But this one is actually pretty cool. 9-meter length, it will allow me to share 4K quality content. It will allow me to control that content from the screen. It will allow me to use the camera, the speakers, the microphone from any application that supports that straight away. And it also charges my laptop. This is the longest cable in the world that has all of those capabilities. So it's pretty cool. We like it. Of course, I don't need the laptop though, because I can just use the device as is. And I can go ahead and hit that big green join button and that will join in. I can equally just hit on call and search my directory. So if I wanted to call someone, I can search and find all that. That's great. But I can also load up my own applications on here. So if you wanted to do, say, the whiteboarding, here's that whiteboard I was working on. It's the same user interface as what was on the Desk series. The difference is these pens. These are active pens. I can also choose if I want white or black background. So I prefer dark mode, but maybe this will come up nicer for you guys on video. These active pens allow me to scribble away, but I can also hold the button down and click to bring up my own radial window. So I'm not constantly going down here to make changes. So I could say, let's choose a different color here. And I'm going to scribble away in red while someone else uses their finger in black. And there's 2 of these pens. So the idea is, if I'm stood here, you can see there is physically space for 3 people. 2 people using the pens with their own color options and pen options, and 1 person using their fingers. There's technically up to 10 touch points enabled on this. So in theory, you could have 10 people scribbling away all at once, but you want to be able to save this content, right? So if I go into save, I can send it as an email. I can save it to Webex. That's my preference, because whenever I'm logged on, let's grab my phone, for example, I can be connected to this board automatically just by having my Webex app open. So if I go along here, it already knows that I'm in the room. It also knows that Clara's here. So we can just go ahead and save that content. This is great when you're teaching, because I no longer need to get my students to copy stuff down off the whiteboard, and then I'm stood there going, have you copied that down yet? No, someone's still writing. Jerry, a bit of a slow writer, taking down those notes, right? We can just save whatever we worked on into a chat space with all of them. Simple. It stays as a collaborative whiteboard as well, so they can keep working on it in their chat space. Now, if I don't want to save it to Webex, that's fine. You can send it as an email. That's all cool. We've also enabled the Files tab here, which means I can save it to Webex, or I can actually connect it to our OneDrive account. So this will ask me to sign into OneDrive. Personally, I'm going to use Webex app, and I'm going to do that here. If I go ahead and open a chat space, let's find a decent chat space where I've got some useful stuff in it. Where's a good one? This one's good. I've got some useful content in this space, so I'm going to go ahead and open this space on the board. So imagine I'm teaching. I have run into my classroom and I've left my laptop in the staff room. What am I going to do? I've got 30 kids sat here waiting. They're not patient. They're going to want to start their lesson. So now my space here has all my files. Because even if I've left my laptop, I guarantee you I ain't leaving this thing behind. My mobile stays with me. So I just paired to the board automatically. I opened up the space I need, and hey, here's all my files in here. I can load these all up. I can see them all. Here's all my whiteboards that are specific to that chat space. So that might be a chat space on Project X or Event Y or Class A or whatever. And I can now go into these, and these are ongoing whiteboards. It says, hey, you had some locally. Did you want to save them to the chat space? No, I don't, because they were rubbish. This one's obviously much more professional, right? So this is really easy to do, but I can carry on working on this. Now, if I want to as well, I can go ahead and say, do you know what? I don't know what everyone's details are. Like if I go call and I don't want to have to find everyone in the directory, I'm just going to go ahead and actually join the meeting from my phone. But it's going to wirelessly select the board and say, hey, let's call everyone in that chat space. You can hear Clara's Desk Pro going off because she's part of that chat space. So that got a notification. And I haven't set up a meeting for this one. So we're just going to see if anyone's free to join. If not, I'm going to join from Clara and simulate it for you guys, but we'll see. Let's see if anyone wants to join me. Oh, there's Elliot. How we doing, man? And we got Ryan. So Elliot's joining from his brand new house. So I can see he's got set up. He's got a Desk Pro there. He's got his navigator joining from a room kit. We've got Vlad, who's over in Portugal. We've got Ryan over in Oslo. We've got people joining from everywhere. So I can go ahead and I can change the layouts. Maybe I want to see people in a different way. Maybe I prefer to see them in the grid view. That's all good. We can do that. If I swipe up, maybe I want to work on this whiteboard that we were doing before. So I'm going to go ahead and share this one. And this shares to them wherever they are, whether it's the Webex app, a Board Pro, a Desk Pro, a Desk Mini, it doesn't matter. We're going to be able to scribble away in here, and they're going to be able to collaborate from their side as well. So you can see that's Ryan drawing on top. I get the little icon next to it, so I know who's drawing. And we've got Jamie joining in from his mobile as well. This is the whole purpose of collaboration. Wherever we are, whatever device you're on, this stuff should be easy. When we're done, we go ahead and stop the share. Those guys can carry on working on that if they want. And I can say thank you so much, guys. And hang up my meeting. Everything we've worked on there is saved automatically. So I don't need to worry about files, save as, upload to wherever, how do I share it with people? It's shared with them because they're in that chat space with me. Nice and easy. We've only got 1 minute left, and I'm very keen to show you the fact that this is also going to join other meeting platforms. So, this big green join button, you might be able to see this little Microsoft Teams icon on there. I can go ahead and join that Teams meeting. I can say, okay, Webex, join the meeting. Okay, join the meeting. Touchless joining experience regardless of the meeting platform. I'm put into, there's Clara's Desk Pro going off in the background again because this is Clara's Microsoft Teams meeting. If I zoom my camera out so you guys can see both of these, I'm going to go ahead and join in to that Teams meeting. Here we go. Oh, we've got Elliot again joining in. Lovely. And we've got Vlad joining in again. Let me go ahead and call. So we're going to see this joining in from the other side. You can see on these two, hello, there's Clara and there's Rose joining in. Thank you so much again, guys. And I'm going to hang up from each of these as well. Nice and easy. The whole point is it needs to be simple to join in, regardless of the meeting platform. You still get the great noise cancellation, you still get the great camera features, and you still get the great ease of joining. All managed from the Webex Control Hub. I've gone 1 minute over. My bad.
Thank you so much, Craig, and thank you, Cisco, for a fantastic presentation. That was a lot of great information. We just wanted to have one last question in here around the support that Aspire provides once all of the devices are set up. And I will turn to our CX team for that one.
How are you? Thank you guys so much for listening in. So yeah, Aspire has a full collaboration managed service offering, which is inclusive and can include video endpoints as well, 24/7 device administration, perform change, adds, deletes. A total collaboration package can be supported from Aspire.
Thank you so much, Selena. And if there's any additional questions that we didn't get to today, please feel free to reach out to us at marketing@aspiretransform. And again, thank you so much, Cisco team and everyone for joining.